Make me a liar, Commissioner Hendricks. I thought we were full. I'm glad you're with us, of course.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dan, you are now live.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, January 28th, 2021 meeting of the East Lansing Planning Commission. Mr. Menzer, would you please call roll?
Yes, I will. Good evening, everyone. Member Cahill is absent. Commissioner Sullivan.
Here, attending remotely from my house in East Lansing, Ingham County.
Thanks. Commissioner Williams.
Hello, everyone. I am present and attending remotely from my home in East Lansing. Sorry for my barely on time, maybe even a minute late arrival. I had a lightning strike outside my house that knocked out my Wi-Fi and my cable service, so I am just almost just momentarily able to join you. So, and happy.
Thank you. Commissioner Boyle.
I'm present, attending from my home in East Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan.
Commissioner Wolf.
Here, attending remotely from my home in East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Commissioner Lapine.
Here, attending remotely from East Lansing, Michigan, and I have no idea why I am purple tonight. I got a new computer, and I don't know what's happening, so please ignore me looking like a Smurf.
Commissioner Wagner is in the UP, I believe. Commissioner Bowman.
Present, attending remotely from my home in East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Here in East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
So we've got 7.
Do we have a quorum? You have in front of you a copy of the agenda for this evening's. Oh, excuse me. Let me back up. This will be the last time I presumably will have to do this for a time, but for now, I'll thank each of you and all of our other attendees for your patience as we work with this ongoing technology. All members of the public will have an opportunity to address the commission during public comment and during our public hearing this evening. Each commission member will be called on individually to speak during each item. A commission member may say pass if they do not have a comment for that item. Commission members are reminded to state their name before speaking, before making a motion, so on, and all votes of consequence will be taken with a roll call vote. And that will move us on to item 1.2, approval of the agenda. You do have a copy of the agenda in the packet that you received. I would entertain a motion to approve that agenda.
Wolf, so moved.
Commissioner Hendricks, second.
Thank you. That's been moved by Commissioner Wolf and seconded by Commissioner Hendricks to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, then let's have a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, that motion carries. Moving us on to item 1.3, approval of the minutes of the July 14th, 2021 meeting, which was also in your packet. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Wolf, so moved.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hendricks, second.
Thank you. That's been moved by Commissioner Wolf and seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right, seeing none, let's have a vote on that, or another voice vote on that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those opposed, that motion carries as well. We have no committee reports to my knowledge, so that will move us on to item 3, staff reports. Mr. Menzer.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So I don't have a lot to report. The council has not met since the last time we met. So they do meet again on August 10. And at that meeting, we'll consider setting a public hearing for the West Road rezoning and site plan special use permit that is on your agenda later this evening. And then they will have a public hearing on the Trowbridge fence that you recommended approval at your last meeting. And then a couple things, just I guess, city business. City business, but not council related. We're looking at a hearing, or not a hearing, but a joint meeting with the Housing Commission in September, possibly on September 22. So to have a meeting between the Housing Commission and the Planning Commission to discuss the housing study. So staff behind the scenes is working on that, and I hope to have everything put together along with the strategic goals or strategic plan document that will be sent to you ahead of time. Hope to have that all ready for you, sent out soon, and looking forward to that meeting in September with the Housing Commission. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Menzer? Commissioner Wolf?
I looked at you sent us a link to the web page that has all the supporting documents related to housing. And it's pretty daunting to see all the stuff that is there. You said we'll be getting something about the strategic plan prior to that meeting. Is that going to be a little bit more specifically directed in a way that will help us decide what we really need to review of that material? Or
Yeah, so the story on the documents, really, we're just trying to provide some comprehensive background information. It is daunting. I'm having trouble getting through a lot of it. That's why we had Raphael, who you'll meet at some point, Raphael Kaysen, has been assigned to work on the housing study, and he put together just some brief synopsis of those studies. So if you don't get a chance to get into the meat of those, and they're long, I get it. Hopefully the synopsis will at least provide a little context on each of those. But the strategic plan document is much shorter, and it really is meant to provide a bridge between the data that is in the housing study and some policy objectives that the community can consider for the future. So that is really, to me, is the most important document. The housing study itself is, of course, very important, but I think the following document is going to inform us on our best options to kind of achieve some of the things that have been discussed here in the city, I think, for years. So it's certainly not a panacea, and I don't expect that, but it gives us a roadmap. So we're working with the consultant team right now to finalize that document. And when we have it finalized, we'll send it out to you so you have plenty of time before the meeting to read it and digest it and ask questions.
so the documents you provided the links to, maybe I'm stating the obvious here, is they would help us if we read the strategic plan document and we have particular questions or looking for the background on it, we can find it in those documents perhaps.
Yep, and really they were meant to kind of highlight just the city's efforts over the years related to housing, because there have been, obviously I'm new to the community, but there have been a lot of initiatives over the years. So it's really to provide kind of the breadth and then the depth that's there if we need it, if we need to get into some of the older stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Menzer? All right, then. That'll move us on to item 4, commissioner announcements. Does anybody have any announcements they wish to share with the commission or the public? Okay, I'm not seeing any. That'll move us on then onto item 5, communications from citizens. This is the time in our meeting when we invite members of the public to come forward and make a comment on items that are on our agenda or may not be on our agenda, but they would just wish to share with the commission. Each caller in our queue will have 5 minutes to address the commission. At the end of 5 minutes, they will be placed back on mute. Callers will be identified with the last 3 digits of their phone number. When called upon, you will be unmuted. If you do not wish to speak, please indicate so by saying pass. If you do wish to speak, please clearly state your name and address before addressing the commission. This is not a requirement, but it does help our secretary in keeping minutes of this meeting. I should note that if you're here in regards to either the public hearing or the old business, we'll certainly hear from you at that time. But if you wanted to make your comments prior, that's certainly welcome as well. So Ms. Ordialis, if you would please invite our attendees forward.
Thank you. The first caller in the queue has the last 3 digits of their phone number as 345. I'm now unmuting you and allowing you to speak.
Hello, my name is Chris Hale. I'm with Concord Hospitality. I'm here for the discussion on the rezoning on the agenda.
Thank you. We'll hear from you shortly if you don't have anything you wish to add at this time.
Nothing.
Thank you.
The next caller in the queue has the last 3 digits of their number as 976. I am unmuting you and allowing you to speak.
Hello, this is Paul Duncan with Concord Hospitality. Am I coming through?
Yep, we can hear you. It looks to me like you're also
Okay.
you're also signed in via Zoom, perhaps.
I am. The last meeting I had an issue getting my microphone to work, so I signed in both ways this time just to make sure I was covered.
No worries.
The one question I had that I would just maybe throw out ahead of time before we get to our item on the agenda is, I believe since we've already had an initial discussion already with our request, we revised it for the conditional rezoning and it was pushed back to this meeting. I was curious if we would be at a point to vote on it today, or if that's, I think, typical process would be the following meeting, but wasn't sure if this would count as the second meeting.
Typically, we would indeed work or address your request twice. So first at a public hearing, and then we'd see it again as old business. It's not unusual in relatively straightforward cases for us to take up the matter the night of. So I can't promise you anything, but if there are no significant issues surrounding the public hearing, then it's possible that we might be able to act on that this evening.
Okay, that was all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. I should note that Commissioner Cahill has joined us. It is 7:13. I'll take a moment and ask Commissioner Cahill to sort of offer his greeting, the sort of the standard where you are and what you're doing, I guess. You are muted though, Jack.
This is Commissioner Cahill appearing remotely from his home in East Lansing.
Welcome. Mr. Realis, if you would continue with our final one, our last attendee.
The last attendee is Michelle Schumacher, and I am unmuting you and allowing you to speak.
This is Michelle Shoemaker, LSG Engineers and Surveyors. We're the engineers for the Concord Hospitality Project. I'm here to answer any questions the commission may have. Thanks.
Thank you, and we'll get to those momentarily.
That completes all the callers in the queue.
Thank you, Ms. Ordalis. That will move us on then, away from communications from citizens onto our public hearing this evening. It is item 6.1, and it is ordinance 1501. This is a request to conditionally rezone 3225 West Road from RA Residential Agricultural District to B5 Community Retail Sales Business District. Ms. Schmidt, is this you?
Thank you. We did review this ordinance just slightly last meeting on the 23rd of June. At that time, we knew that the owner of the property wanted to condition the approval on the sale of the property, and that has been added to your final report. This particular property is 4.5 acres, has frontage on and access on West Road. To the north are single-family residential homes and a vacant lot. To the south and east are office buildings. To the southeast at the corner of West and Abbey Roads is a single-family residential house. The west side of the property is bound by US 127. The property, as you had said, is zoned RA right now. It is expected over time that it will be rezoned to something non-residential. In the comprehensive plan, it's designated as commercial 3. This land use category is intended to feature a wide variety of manufacturing, research, service, office, retail, and uses including hotels. Public service and facilities would not be adversely impacted by a development or use allowed under this zoning request. The owner of the property, as I said, is requesting the application be conditioned on a date certain. that the property is sold and under contract. It is currently under contract now by the applicant. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Ms. Schmidt? Vice Chair Boyle?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One is with this requested rezoning, is a hotel appropriate on the property does it need a special use permit or not?
It would not need a special use permit under the proposed zoning.
Okay. And my other question is, I know this is now presented as a conditional rezoning. The draft ordinance we have doesn't include that condition in it, but I do see that our proposed recommendation has the condition. So
Yes.
That's sufficient, I assume.
Yes, and actually what will happen if it gets approved, there will actually be a conditional rezoning agreement. The actual ordinance will still go to the notice as exactly how it is, and it will be written in an agreement form before actually effective.
Thank you.
So the ordinance won't be in effect until the property is sold or until the agreement to sell is reached?
It will actually be in effect immediately.
Okay.
If the contract is not complete by the date written in the ordinance, it will revert back to the RA. So we will just do that administratively.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Schmidt? Okay, I believe our applicant is well represented here. If you could, Mr. Dialis, if you could invite the three of them forward or open up their mics.
All right.
I don't know who the primary contact is. So maybe I'll start with Mr. Duncan, but if it's not him, then certainly one of the other two can add, if anything, they'd like to add anything to what the staff has already presented.
All right, I'm going to allow Mr. Duncan to speak. I have unmuted you. Oh, I forgot he had problems.
I
with that
think we need to
last-
unmute the other him. Thanks.
Yes.
There we go.
Mr. Duncan, you are unmuted and can speak.
That looks like that's his associate. He's 976.
Oh, goodness, I'm so sorry.
No worries. There we go.
All right, Mr. Duncan, you're now unmuted and can speak.
There we got you now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, it tells me I'm unmuted and then I still have to press star 6.
Yep, you still have
Sorry
to engage.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'll be the main point of contact for any questions. I don't have anything to add from what you've presented so far, but happy to answer the questions and defer any to Michelle Shoemaker that are adequate for her to respond to on the civil engineering side.
Are there any questions for Mr. Duncan or for Ms. Shoemaker? No, I'm not seeing any hands, Mr. Duncan. Why don't we just leave you, if that's okay, Ms. Odialis, let's leave him live since we're going to probably need to speak with him momentarily anyway.
Right, I will do that.
Thank you. And I'll return this, Ben. If there are no questions, then I'll return this to commission action. Commissioner Wolf.
I'll move that we suspend the Planning Commission bylaw Rule 4C in order to vote on this item tonight.
There's been a motion to suspend bylaw Rule C, which is to say to suspend the rules and act on this matter this evening. Vice Chair Boyle, was that you seconding that motion?
That was me seconding it.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second now. Is there any discussion on that motion? Commissioner Wolf?
Yeah, I'll just say that this was such a minor change in the rezoning, and we already had a discussion of it last week. So it's extremely appropriate at this point, I think, to vote tonight.
Any other discussion? All right, then, Mr. Menzer, if we could please have a roll call vote.
Yep. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner is absent, Commissioner Bowman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion carries 8-0. Then that will free us up to continue with the main or a main motion. Commissioner Wolf?
I'll move that we recommend approval of Ordinance 1501, a request from Concord WP COLGP Holdings to LLC to amend the zoning use district map of Chapter 50 zoning of the Code of the City of East Lansing to rezone the property at 3225 West Road from RA Residential Agriculture District to B5 Community Retail Sales Business District, subject to the condition voluntarily offered by the property owner that the property will revert to RA zoning if the applicant for the rezoning does not purchase the property from the owner by March 1st, 2022. For the 5 reasons listed in the staff report. And I won't read all of those right now.
There's a second. There's a motion, excuse me. Is there a second?
Sullivan, second.
I saw Commissioner Cahill's hand before I heard Commissioner Sullivan's voice, so I will defer to Commissioner Cahill and say that there's now been a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? I should like to offer for just by point of order that in as much as this is a public hearing and there should be a public hearing, I can see that there are no other attendees present. And so I guess I will open and close the public hearing simultaneously before proceeding. I can see the list of attendees in front of me. So that said, is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Wolf?
Yeah, I'll just say that this rezoning is consistent with other zoning in the area. It is different than that of the immediately adjoining properties, which in some cases we might not do, but there is enough B5 in the area as well. And the B5 and B4 are relatively compatible, so I don't think that difference is significant to us.
Well put. Any other discussion? All right, I see no hands. So Mr. Menzer, could we please have a roll call vote on this motion?
Yep. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner, absent, Commissioner Bowman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yes.
8-0, motion carries.
Thank you. That motion carries. And that will move us on then to item 7, or our only item of old business this evening, item 7.1. This is a request for a site plan approval from Concord WP COLGP Holdings 2 LLC to construct a 4-story, 48,660 square foot hotel at 3225 West Road. Ms. Schmidt, is this you again?
A public hearing was held on this application on June 23rd. The application is for a 48,660 square foot, 4-story hotel that is proposing 122 guest rooms. The amenities include guest laundry room, fitness room. The rooms may be rented by either the night or the week. The applicant has provided revised plans that are in your packet, and they address all of the concerns that all of the staff reviews. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from Ms. Schmidt on this application? Commissioner Wolf.
In one of the new documents, the applicant's response to the staff report and engineer review, there is an issue that seemed to be slightly in dispute. It had to do with whether or not a tree survey was to be required before they demolish the site, or has that been resolved between?
Yes, they will have to be, they will be required to do a tree survey prior to final site plan.
Okay, and they understand that now?
I believe so.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Schmidt? All right, then I believe that our applicant, Mr. Duncan, is still available, and one presumes that Ms. Shoemaker is available as well. Are there anything that either of the two of you would like to add to the staff report?
No, thank you. Available for questions that
Certainly.
pop up, but nothing to add. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any questions for the applicants? Commissioner Wolf.
I see on the site plan that you show a sign for the hotel at the entrance on West Road next to the driveway. I don't see any other signs, so I just wanted to confirm that you are not planning to put up a sign specifically directed towards traffic on the highway. Is that the case, that you're not going to have that type of a sign?
The sign that would be directed towards the highway would be building signage, and we would submit a building permit application and go through that process and abide by the allowed codes, and but it would not be a standalone monument sign, no.
Yeah, I saw that your elevations show a fairly small representation of the name of the hotel near the top of it on the freeway side. So that's what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Other questions for the applicant? Okay, I'm seeing no hands. So let's return this to the commission for action. There we go. I'm just having some difficulty with my reader here. Anyway, would anybody care to make a motion? Commissioner Wolf.
Yes, I'll move that we recommend approval to City Council for the application from Concord WP COL GP Holdings to LLC for the property at 3225 West Road to construct a 4-story, 48,660 square foot hotel and associated parking on a 4.5 acre site as reflected on the plans prepared by LGS Engineers and Surveyors dated May 17th, 2021, and revised on July 21st, 2021, and architectural plans prepared by BRR Architecture Incorporated dated May 26, 2021, subject to the 18 conditions in the staff report.
Thank you. There is a motion. Is there a second? Vice Chair Boyle. Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Wolf to recommend approval of this proposal to City Council, and that has been seconded by Vice Chair Boyle. Is there any discussion on that motion? Commissioner Wolf?
Yeah, I think this is a proper development for the area. It will fit in with what we have there already. We have, what, 2 hotels, maybe 3, I guess 2, not very far away on West Road and on Coolidge Road. And it should be a good use for this property that the owners have been trying to sell for quite some time.
Well put. Again, is there any further discussion? All right, then, Mr. Menzer, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes?
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner's absent, Commissioner Bowman,
Yes?
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yes.
The motion passes 8-0. And so we'll thank the applicants for bringing this project forward to us. And you will see this, I think, Mr. Menzer said at the meeting, the August 10th meeting of City Council.
So on the August 10th agenda, they'll be setting the public hearing for September 7.
There we go. So I presume you heard that. And if you didn't, I know you'll receive it in the form of a letter shortly. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We have no new business this evening. And so that'll move us on to item 9, Commissioner Concerns. Does anybody have any concerns they'd like to raise? Vice Chair Boyle.
Not a concern, but I did want to thank staff for forwarding the links to considerable background information. I know it's a lot, but I think it will help us to have some of the things that have happened in the past regarding housing in the city of East Lansing. There have been a lot of efforts over the years to encourage owner-occupied housing, to support the conversion of some student units back to owner-occupied, to diversify housing in the downtown area. And I think at least a passing understanding of those is going to be helpful when we sit down and look at the housing study and the plan that's being developed by staff. So thanks.
Any other commissioner concerns or any commissioner concerns or comments? Commissioner Cahill.
I have a question and a concern. The question is, my concern has to do with the Graduate Hotel. And I know when we approved it, there was a condition of their special use permit that they would be using plasticware on their balcony on the 10th floor. So the question is, was that requirement included in city council approval?
Darcy, let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe so, right?
I believe it was, but I can't be 100% positive because I just don't recall.
We can follow up with you on that.
Please.
Or if anyone's been there, maybe you know.
One thing I would add, actually, Commissioner Cahill, I went as well and had the same question. And I asked a server, and believe it or not, those glasses are plastic. They are very dense and they are plastic. In fact, I tried dropping one just on the floor with the server to test it out. So they are plastic, but they did a really good job making it seem like they're glass.
Those mason jars are plastic?
Yeah. Assuming that I had the same mason jar like you did, but okay. I had the same inkling. But maybe we should all run our own independent trials on the roof.
For the sake of science.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd want to look back at exactly what that condition stated, but because people are carrying 16-ounce cans out to the boundary where they can easily be dropped over the edge accidentally.
Yeah, we will take a look at that and we can email the commission tomorrow, letting you know what that condition is.
Thank you.
I actually pulled up the approval letter. If you'd like me to read it, I can. It's number 14.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca.
It says glassware shall be prohibited in the outdoor service area of the rooftop restaurant.
So simply glassware, it sounds like. Thank you, Ms. Urdiales. Commissioner Cahill, it sounded like you had a two-part concern or question. Is that not?
I had a question and a concern, and the concern was that until Lauren explained, those are actually plastic, I guess.
You are right, though. If I think about it, I did see people with glass bottles of Corona. So I guess maybe a bottle doesn't count as drinkware if someone were to interpret that sentence in that manner. But I did see glass bottles of Corona that someone could drop.
Well, that's right. I did.
Yeah.
I did see that also. And as I said, beer cans, 16-ounce beer cans. And I don't think, even if those things are plastic, were those mason jars, what was the weight of them? I didn't have one in my hand.
They're definitely dense. If you dropped one from the ceiling or from the roof, someone below would feel it. They're definitely dense. I think they found the densest plastic they could find.
Okay.
So it wouldn't break if it's dropped as a test case by a planning commissioner, presumably.
Well, this may be a lesson learned, and I think it was certainly disingenuous of them to be doing that. And I'll keep that in mind in the future.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? If there are none and I see no hands, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Thank you.
Boyle.
That's been moved by Vice Chair Boyle. And
Second, Sullivan.
Seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify. Let's have a voice vote. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. That motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:38. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and I will look forward to seeing you in person in about 3 weeks. 2 weeks, I guess.
2 weeks.
Yep. All righty. Be safe until then. Take care.
I know.
Good night.
Bye.
Night, everyone.
Bye.